Hey y'all, APG Jamie here, and today we are playing with tissue. I believe it's wet strength tissue paper. We're going to have some napkins. We're going to have some heat embossing, and we are using big stamps, y'all. Big stamps. Okay? IODs. Information description below. Not an affiliate, but I like them. They have their uses, okay? And so we're stamping on tissue paper. I have cut the size down so that it is a bit more manageable. And I am using the script stamp. The names are kind of below. And I was haphazardly putting my ink pad on there so that it wasn't necessarily a solid, stamping kind of thing. So yeah, and now I'm picking out some leaves. This is the Fronds set. The first, I got 3 sets. Early 2020, late 2019, or I don't know when, y'all. Rosemary Morris, she's such an enabler, that Rosemary. Anyway, when my husband and I were back in that area near that store last year, I had to drop by. I got lucky. Had a sale going on. Anyway, and that's where I picked, or when I picked up the I think it was the script and the newsprint one. I don't know. It was the newsprint one. Anyway, whatever, y'all. It don't no matter. So the green that I have is a mixture of different green inks because the sap green refill was a little pricey. So I thought, okay, well, let me try this green. And while I was picking up the refill, I thought, well, let's just go ahead and get this green too because it looks pretty. So my sap green pad is actually a mixture of 2 other greens. Whatever sap was left in it. That sounds funny. And then the 2 new greens, which may or may not be listed in the description below because now it's a mixture of 3. It's its own unique green, y'all. Just saying. So I'm putting those leaves around, and now we're going to do a dragonfly because y'all know I love my dragonflies. And I'm using coffee for that. I know, it's just kind of typical stamping, right? They are big stamps, though. If you see my little tiny baby hands, they're not baby hands, but they're small. Anyway, you can see that. I'm not trying to overfill the page. In fact, I was being cautiously careful not to put too much, as I normally have a tendency to do. I'm like, oh, 1 stamp is good, 20 is better, right? Yeah, something like that. So I'll just do that around. Sometimes I'm half stamping off. Hickin', y'all. Sorry, I got a slightly snuffy nose. Snuffy lufficus. And we are moving on. This is I believe this is the new one that I picked up, the newsprint. Now, to my surprise, those articles are separate. So you can pull off individual articles, okay, and stamp those. Now, I'm going to piddle fart around with this one, because for some reason I felt like it needed to be really, really extra straight. But it probably not. So we're just going to piddle around with it. I'm like, yeah, that's not straight. Let me move it. Yeah, that's not straight. Ha ha ha, y'all. So anyway, I am essentially just stamping 2 big old giant pieces. Oh, wait till you see the heat embossing, y'all. Oh my. Oh, that's what we're going to do right now with that. that article from the newsprint. Or Courrier, Le Courrier, I don't know what it's French, so I don't know what it says anyway. So that is my anti-static thingy that I made myself from a couple layers of t-shirt fabric and some starch, you know, powdered starch. Gosh, cornstarch, bless my heart. So I've run that over there. And I did use the heat gun, but, you know, it does take a minute for things to dry on this wet strength tissue. I don't know why it's called wet strength tissue, but that's what it is. So, yeah. And so my embossing powder stuck to some of my stamped image. I'm just kind of scrunching it off. I'm like, okay, you know, it's like, hey, more the merrier, I guess. And that is a Tim Holtz heat embossing glaze. I believe it's the antique linen. Oh, I fell in love with it. Heat gun, y'all. Oh, nice. I don't know how well you can see the melting process of the embossing powder, glaze, whatever you want to call it, y'all. But y'all know I think it's magic. Need a drink of coffee here. So slurp. And yes, the video is sped up. More in other places and less in others. Here you go. And we do this for quite a while. Now I will tell you, I wished I'd have had a bigger piece of paper underneath there to catch all my slinging around embossing powder, y'all. Just saying, okay? Because that stuff kind of went everywhere, even though I saved most of it. Just saying. Because, you know, the tissue paper is lightweight, and it kind of flaps around sometimes, and you're like, oh my goodness, what's going on? So in between pages, I had to really clean and wipe everything out. And I'm like, oh my, I might have should have mask on. I'm trying to show you how it looks, but it's very hard to see on the camera. And hopefully the photo montage, you'll be able to see more butter, even though I'm not going to guarantee that. Because, you know, sometimes some of this stuff, especially shiny, can be hard to photograph. Now here I got out the clear embossing powder because I thought, well, let's do some clear too, because why not? And I decided I liked the antique linen glaze better. So I think we used the clear one a few times on this page, but we don't use it on the next one. Now, on this tissue paper, as is most tissue paper as far as I know, one side is slightly glossy and the other side is totally matte. One of my pages I did on the more glossy side, and the other one I did on the totally matte side. I don't know that it made a difference. I didn't do any project with these papers as of yet. We probably will. I don't know. I may never. I may have just, you know, been making them because I wanted to. Y'all, could be that. Oh, on this one, I am using a stamped with, I believe it was either black soot or the watering can. And then I put the antique glaze over the top of that and used that because, you know, it dries a little slower on the tissue. Okay, so now we're moving on to the second one, and I'm just haphazardly stamping around with probably gray and black. I think this is the one I went on the matte side of the tissue. And I'm not worried about getting perfect coverage or anything else. And now we get dog bark. It's not my dog. Neighbor. Anyway. So we're doing that. And I do typically try to do, well, what I think may be backgrounds or whatever in various orientations, so that I'm not hard set to just go one particular way, you know. So I do switch things and flip-flop things and stuff like that. And we're doing this. I know you're like, well, we've already seen this, but here's a different leaf. Ah, oh no, did I use it? I think I went with olive green on this one. And I'm using the acrylic block just to hold the stamp on, so I can add the ink to it without it hopefully sticking to the tissue paper. And I do take some of my images off the side of the page, because, you know, it's what's recommended, and it typically does look best. Just saying. And again, I'm trying to consciously not overstamp. Now, I picked a moth for this one, and I am using, I believe it's pale ochre, and you can see it, and you can see some of the detail. He can, y'all, because I'm drying it. And this one I left overnight before I came back the next day. Oh no, I did the embossing on it. Then I set it overnight because I had to go in and fix food, because, you know, people want to eat around my house. I don't know what's wrong with them. So this time we're going to use the big script stamp for our embossing. This is where the embossing powder really got crazy. I didn't spill it, but it was just so all over the place, you know. Just saying, because it just was all over the place. Oh, but I loved it. It's just made me so sticky. And see, I was like, oh, it's just, I don't know. It's just kind of going everywhere. Thump, thump. Y'all, thumbs up. We will do a project in a minute. Later. In an hour or two. Hickin', y'all. Some of this you can see the powder melting. Okay. And the moths still look relatively, they're okay. I mean, there's nothing wrong with them. But when I came back out the next day, I thought, well, I want more detail in my moths. Moths. It's like that color moth. So I got my coffee ink, and I'm just going to restamp them. And yeah, I don't line it up perfectly, but it's close enough. And it's like, oh yes, that is much better. And if it hadn't worked, that would have been okay too. But I liked it much better. So I'm just going to go around and restamp all my moths. TH. Y'all. Any hoobles. Tissue, napkins, embossing, big stamps. I do like these big stamps. You can use them on the mono print plate too. So here because we're just basically playing with tissue paper, y'all, mostly. I thought, well, let's scrunch it all up. Okay? So that's what we're doing. And then I'm going to get out those sprays, mica sprays, that my secret internet admirer sent to me back in December. And I love them. Ring it like a bell. Ring it like... Oh, speaking of bells, have you subscribed? Have you signed up, or, you know, have your account, your YouTube account fixed so you can get notifications of new videos and recordings and lives and all that kind of stuff? Well, ring my bell. So I used 2 different colors, and I believe I listed them in the ingredients. Yes, that one happens to be Tor. Just a little bit. It's like, it's okay. It's just paper, y'all. We don't have to use that part of the sheet, or we can. It might work in our favor. So I'm stamping that with our mixed green, and I thought, well, I didn't like it. So I wiped at it with a damp baby wipe, and it kind of wiped it away. Kind of didn't, but it's okay. So I got out garden patina, because, you know, it's one of my favorites. And we've got different leaves, and we're just going to stamp those around. Now, I know you can't see them really well on the screen, or, well, not my editing screen. I know I complain about that every time. You'd think I'd learn how to make it bigger. Anyway, now we're going to, I don't think I did any embossing on these. Let's watch and see. Nope, we're just stamping. And these are slightly smaller pieces of the tissue. like I said, it is, I believe it is the wet strength tissue. It was recommended to me by Patty Parrish. Me and my name dropping video, y'all. Anyway, if you're interested, I could find the link, but just comment and let me know, because otherwise I'm not putting the link to the Amazon. I am not an Amazon affiliate. So here we are stamping on the blue paper. And I just mostly kept that kind of going in the same direction, because I'm like, well, I'm just kind of tired of flip-flopping it around, because, you know, sometimes I get tired and I get bored of doing something. Even though I do like to do a lot of some things. You know, like when I'm making clusters, I make a lot of clusters at a time and so on and so forth. But anyway, I have no plan for these, because I'm just playing with my big stamps in the tissue, right? Okay, just so you know, don't have big expectations. And I thought, oh, let's use this butterfly and let's get out that sienna color, because it's red. No, it's brown. No, it's red. Oh, it's not sepia. I'm like, okay, keep your wits about you. Don't overstamp it. So I didn't. Okay, now I've got butcher paper. You know, that's waxed, excuse me, or otherwise plastic sized on one side and paper on the other. And I'm putting down fluid matte medium. Then I'm laying a single layer of napkin. And now I'm laying my sprayed, stamped tissue paper on top and putting matte medium again across the top of it. This has to dry overnight, y'all. Don't heat gun it, okay? Just don't. Just let it dry overnight. So now I've got the green one. And I'm like, well, I don't know which one I like. And I think I went with, I went with that napkin. I don't even know what napkin I used. This is a couple days ago, y'all. I think I have a cold, but I'm okay. I'm okay. So again, smearing out the fluid matte medium, sticking the napkin down. I am not worried about wrinkles or anything else. I'm going over the top of the napkin with the fluid matte medium. Trying not to over scrub, because, you know, napkins are delicate. They're more delicate than me, and they will smoosh apart. So now we're putting that down. And I don't know, y'all, if I stamped and or sprayed on the matte side or the slightly shiny side of that tissue. I don't know. So my family all went in and bought me a set of those Tim Holtz fancy dies, the one with the envelope and the, what was that, the little file folder, and the other one, whichever that is. Anyway. So I took my napkin. Y'all didn't see me do that particular napkin. This is plain napkin. The one with the flowers is plain napkin and tissue paper. Just layered up. So these are flimsy, but they're sturdy. I know that doesn't make any sense. They're soft, but they're not fabric soft, okay? And to help me fold it up on the score marks, which were there, you just, you know, it's just not a real stiff piece of paper to score very well. I'm used the ruler to help fold that up, and now I'm just using some double-sided tape. Thick glue would have worked just fine, but I wanted to use my double-sided tape because that's what I wanted to use, y'all. And I burnished down my double-sided tape, double-sided tape, double-sided tape. And now we're just closing up the little envelope, depends on how you pronounce it. And I do that I made 4 of them. No particular purpose. Okay. One of them was already got mailed away by the time, I got it finished. I'm like, well, that's going to go in that package. So anyways, doing that, putting them together. Like I said, I did not use the heat gun on drying the napkins with the fluid matte medium and all of that on the butcher paper. Is it called butcher paper? Now I don't know what it's called, y'all. Waxy on one side, not on the other. So that one I thought was kind of plain, so I had taken the napkin and tissue paper, and I cut out a couple of butterflies, because I'm using 2 of the different butterflies. And I'm like, oh no, we have to have antennae. So I'm using my black thread trick and gluing that on there. I don't know. It was probably art glitter glue, which I may not even listed in the ingredients. I don't know. Don't remember. If it's not there, I used it. Okay. Coffee. So, got two of them. On one of them, I used one of that floral napkin right there had a border on it, and I cut that out. I had a little piece of that I cut out. I'm just decorating the outside of the envelopes just a little bit. I typically say envelope. See, there it is. That little teeny tiny border. This is not bad to cut out. Like I said, it seems flimsy, but it's fairly sturdy. And one of my little envelopes, I did booger up the napkin a little bit, so it kind of got a little smooshy. And that's initially why I started with, see, I'm pointing it out. Why I thought I will just go with the butterfly, and then I thought, well, let's put a butterfly over here. In one of the envelopes, I didn't add any additional things too, because I thought it was perfect just the way it was. Perfect, y'all. So we're doing that. Happy with those. Now, show and tell. Here is the one with the moth. And I think you could use either side, depending on which color you know. And then right there I was pointing out the fold on that page stuck in there really bad. But you can't see the fold on this one, so I don't know what was up with that. Anyway, I'm keeping those kind of rolled up on a tube thingy. You saw that, cardboard tube thingy. And here are little envelopes. And I made some stuff to go inside with those die sets, y'all. So it's just a little tagette. And I've got, did a couple of tickets, stamping tickets. I didn't list those because I didn't show you those. And then the hand die was in one of those die sets. I don't think I listed those either, y'all. Sorry. Anyway, ribbon and a little tiny one of those little tiny safety pins with a couple of beads on it. Okay. And they're all exactly the same, but not perfectly exactly. So, you know, close enough. They're the same. Ta-da! Ta-da, ta-da, ta-da! Jazz hands! Photo montage! It's fairly long photo montage. I'm hoping you could see some of the embossing. I don't know. I'm not going to guarantee it. And it was slightly messy. Okay, so if you try this, don't blame me. But it was fun. I did enjoy it. Okay. And, you know, we have collaged a napkin and tissue paper before, and napkin on lots of book pages and guest checks and whatever you want to, y'all. So, oh, there you can see some of the embossing on that one. And on some of them, the last picture of that particular paper is the back side. I don't know what's the back side. So here's our little envelope. See, by that time, I'm like, this one's already gone. Yeah. And I'm trying to, I hope you can see that there's a pocket in there, and, you know, our little tickets and our little hand, which is so cute. I love that little hand. Anyway, the letters are teeny tiny, y'all. Teeny tiny leftover letters. Thanks for watching, and happy arting, y'all.